These are two stories that were sent to yme2k15@gmail.com. Thanks to Dee and Monstie1600 for the stories. Hello, my name is Ariana and I live in a small town located in Arizona. We had moved here about 5 years ago and I lived off in 3 different places. About 2 years ago we had moved to a second location, a small trailer-like house that we purchased at a very low price in what seemed to be a very shady neighborhood. One night while getting used to the house, we had invited some friends over just for fun. Since I was barely 10, they decided to bring over some of their kids to keep me company. 2 little girls around 3 or 4 and one that was the same age as me slept over that night when their parents got too drunk to drive home. That night, around 3 in the morning, I woke up to get something to drink. I quietly made my way out of the room to not wake up the girls. In that house, my room was down the hallway and right beside it was our bathroom. My room also had a door in it that was connected to the bathroom. Anyways, as I turned on the tap to fill up my cup with water, I glanced down the hallway and see a little girl. She was just a blur to me considering I forgot to wear my glasses. I smiled thinking it was one of the girls who were playing with me earlier. I told her to go back to bed, saying it was really late. She slowly turns around and books it and runs into the bathroom, shutting the door. I winced considering the door made a loud slamming noise. I waited for my parents to come storming into the kitchen, but then I realized that when they fall asleep drunk, nothing wakes them up. I sighed and walked down the hallway to check on the girl. As I reached for the knob on the door, I found it to be locked. I then heard a groaning sound coming from the bathroom. I shakily made my way into the room to access the door in there, pondering one, hoping that she forgot to lock this one. As I reached to open the door, I steal a glance at the sleeping girls. That's when I noticed that they were all sleeping soundly. My hand started to tremble as the groaning voice became louder. I debated on whether or not I should open the door. When I was about to come to a conclusion, the groaning stopped. I opened the door to find nothing inside but the gross smell of what I assumed to be rotten flesh. I snuck into my parents' room that night and crawled into the bed with them, for I was not going to sleep in that room. About a year later, I revealed my story to my parents, who then questioned the landlord about it. He then told us that he rented us the house at such a low price because it was built over a graveyard where a little girl was frozen to death. When I was around the age of 7, I lived in Yorkshire in England with my mom and dad. One night I had a sleepover with a friend. I was in bed and she had a blow-up airbed on the floor next to my bed. We stayed up fairly late for 2 children our age and we finally fell asleep at around 11 p.m. Bear in mind that my bedroom in my house was on the top floor. I remember waking up at around 3 a.m. to the sound of movement. I sat bolt upright in my bed, wondering what I had just heard. I looked towards where my friend was sleeping and noticed that she was also sat up bolt upright, but unlike me, she was rocking back and forth. I called out her name, but she either seemed to ignore me or she hadn't heard me. I reached out to her and shook her, but she still kept rocking. She'd never done anything like this before. I shrugged it off and assumed that she was trying to scare me and went back to sleep. I then awoke again. This time I looked at my clock and it was nearing 4 a.m. I heard movements again. I looked at the blow-up airbed, but this time my friend was no longer sat or laying there. I rubbed my eyes and looked around the room, feeling slightly worried, and noticed that my friend stood by my window. I was thinking to myself, what's she doing? I got out of bed and made my way towards her. I shook her arm again, this time saying, "What are you doing? If you're trying to scare me, it's not working. Stop it and go to bed." But she seemed to be completely ignoring me. I followed the directions of her eyes to see what she was looking at, and then I saw it. By the garage I had in the front part of my house, separate to my house, hiding around the corner of the bricked walls, was a little boy who looked to be a little younger than me and my friend. He was looking straight into my room window, straight into my eyes, as if he was looking at me. I panicked, backed away, ran into my bed and leapt under the covers. I felt safer under my blankets and stayed there almost in tears, frozen with fright until I eventually exhausted myself to sleep. When I woke up later that morning, I looked at the airbed next to my bed and my friend was fast asleep in it. I woke her up and asked her what she was playing at during the night, and she seemed confused and upset that I was angry at her, and she seemed to have no idea of the events that took place. So instead of telling her about the little boy that I saw, I left that part out and I didn't say anything. To this day, I'm still not sure what took place that night, but if it was just her playing childish prank on me, then what's the answer behind the little mysterious boy that was hiding behind the wall? Thanks again to both Dee and Monstie1600 for the stories. If you have any scary stories that you would like to share with us, send it to whyme2k15@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter account that you guys could follow. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.